Hi there, Steph. Thanks for popping by. So today I'm sharing with you a card I made using a Mama Elephant stamp set called Botanical Hello. And the idea behind that card was my friend had a baby in January, and I wanted to make a special card with a baby's name on it. And I really love that stamp set. I had a crush on it and I've used it several times. If you watch my video regularly, or if you don't, actually go back to check my previous videos. And if you have seen already that I've done different kind of coloring with this stamp set, Copic and pencils, and I think I did watercolor as well. Yes, I did 2 watercolors with brochure. So I really like that stamp, and I wanted to alter it so that I could add the name of the little baby on it. So I did the way you looking at now. I stamped the image with a light ink and I did some no-line coloring, but I also altered the stamp so that the hello would disappear. I didn't stamp it so light that I couldn't see it, although sometimes I struggle, so I have to lean over, and I apologize in advance because you will see my frizzy hair throughout that video. But I hope you can get over that. I started by coloring the leaves. I think the first card I may have started with the flowers. And for this one, I thought starting with the leaves would be a lot easier because then you can see the line of the flowers appear a lot clearer and a lot more clearly, sorry, and it becomes a lot easier. So here I've sped up a bit. I showed you how I did the first few petals and then I sped up a bit. I'm using 3 different shades of green, a dark, medium, and light. And I'm trying to bear in mind where the shading is so that the no line coloring kind of makes sense, because sometimes with no line it could all get a bit too blended. So I try to really stick to the shading. It's not perfect, but I think it kind of makes sense in the end. Then I moved on to the flowers. So for the first flower, I didn't speed it up too fast so you could see a bit the process. It took quite a while because I think it's not quite the biggest flower, but it's pretty big. I've started with a really light shade of green, and then I move on to a dark shade of blue-green, then a medium shade of blue-green, and then let's say a light shade of blue, and then my very light shade of green. And because these colors were not quite colors that go together when you blend them, I had to do a lot of blending, and it really helps in that case to have juicy markers so that the inks mix really well together. I do pick up my color from a little piece of acetate sometimes when I struggle with the blending, so I use a lighter marker and pick up the color of the darker marker, as you see here, from the little piece of laminated paper, and then I do my blending again. But bear in mind that even if the blending is not absolutely perfect, I do add a lot of details afterwards, like glitter and white gel accent and things like that, so it does help kind of bring the whole thing together, even if it's not absolutely perfect blending. So then I moved on to the other flowers. I went a lot faster for this ones because you've seen the first one in detail, and I got round and round, and I think I managed to reduce this video to 10 minutes. You have to know that it took me, I think I had an hour and a half of footage for that card, and I did a few bits off camera in the end, at the end. So it took quite a while. It's a card for someone very special, basically. And I really liked the result. I think the outcome was actually quite pretty. So I keep going with my flowers round and round, and then I will add all the little accents. So I'm going to put a little bit of musical background, and I will come back to you toward the end of that video. I hope you enjoy the coloring part. Here I'm finishing to add all the little glittery bits. I really like it. I think I like it without it, but I like it with it. I'm a girly girl and I like glitter. So I use the Copic Speaker Atu or Atu Speaker. I need to double check the name. I think I get it wrong half the time. They are really good. And on Copic particularly, they seem to react differently than they do on Prismacolor. On Prismacolor, you get more of the color of the pen. On Copic, when they dry out, eventually you just see a lot of glitter. The color is not quite as important rather than the color of the glitter, I mean. Or maybe the ink the glitter is in. I'm not quite sure how to explain it, but it's pretty nonetheless. So a few bits I will add, or mainly one bit I will add afterwards that you won't see on that video, but you can check out the photos at the end of the video on my blog, is that I felt like it lacked of contrast. The blue-green of the flower was a bit too close to the green of the leaves. So what I did at the end, I used my white gel pen and I added white gel pen a bit all over, not quite like if there was lines to that stamps, but to kind of try to create that contrast a bit like I did on the letters. And I think it does help a lot, so that's something you may want to try if you find that your no-line coloring is lacking a bit of contrast. It adds a bit of that white gel pen and it works really well on Copic, so it really pops against it. So I hope you find it interesting. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to see the photo, please head over to my blog and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks again and have a great day. Bye!